What's your financial goal?
You want more money? Turn what you know into dough. Start hanging out with the people who have it. You create wealth on your own terms. It is not only your rights, but your duty to build wealth.
You are fiscally fabulous.
It's time to enjoy your legacy.
You're listening to Fiscally Fabulous with Dr. Teresa R. Martin, Esquire, a podcast that aims to provide you with the tools, guidance, and encouragement you need to build your wealth, enjoy your wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. Dr. Martin is an accomplished attorney, speaker, business consultant, and real estate strategist, an all-around self-made success who provides highly sought-after expert consulting in the creation, growth, and maintenance of generational wealth.
Everyone, hello. Thank you for joining this first public focus group. I am hoping that we have real estate investors on here. We have our real estate agents who we call investor agents who are investing themselves or looking to invest and or serve real estate investors. And we have business owners who are diversifying into the realm of real estate investing. And of course, Coach has some of his clients who are in the consumer space. But I am 100% B2B, 100% business, right? I love real estate. I love the game of real estate, and it is a game. But most importantly, I love the secrets behind getting funding and getting business credit and financing for real estate and or business ventures, utilizing OPM, which is other people's money. And in this case, we're talking about banks, business credit cards, and things of that sort. So the first thing that I want to mention is as far as you understanding why being in lender compliance is so very important. Most people need to understand how lenders fund, right? Because if you understand how lenders fund, then you can understand why some people get denied and some people get approved. And yes, it may deal with their personal credit, which is the C, or it may deal with the I, which is business income and or business revenue, or it may deal with their assets, right? And assets can be your 401k that you rolled over, a stock portfolio, investment grade real estate, but it's not your primary residence, right? And it's not your personal car or your personal laptop. It's actual business equipment, right? So the first thing that's important for us to know is that lenders do not portfolio loans. Okay, what does that mean? It means that when lenders make you a loan, they sell the loan paper in the secondary market. And I'm sure many of you heard about the secondary market, or at least are familiar through movies and things of that sort, right? So for example, what that means is when they make you a $10 loan, right? They sell that loan paper for $12, right? So that they can have the money to make what? More loans. So in order for them to be able to sell the loan paper, your business must conform, okay? And if your business conforms, then they can sell the paper and they can make more loans. If your business does not conform, they can't sell the loan paper and you will be denied. That's the gist of it. So when you go through lender compliance, when we check off the boxes to make sure that you're meeting the guidelines for lender compliance, that means that's helping your business to conform, so that the loan paper can be sold and therefore you can be seen as low risk and you can do what? Get approved, right? It's as simple as that. And lender compliance is a lot of different things. And this session today is focused more on consumer credit and owner's credit, on how it may affect you as a real estate investor or a real estate agent who may be serving people who are real estate investors. But we're going to get into more detail in the future focus groups to get more involved and more in depth in the actual business side of it, right? Because that's what most of us are doing to build wealth and use other people's money. So just to give you an example of some of the lender compliance items, that's your entity, right? The entity listed with the state records, right? You have to make sure that your entity is open, active, and in good standing. Okay, that's important. You must also have the federal ID number, right? Your federal EIN. Some say, oh, that's a given. You'll be surprised at how many people form their business, but yet fail to get the EIN. And if they do get the EIN, the number is not matching what's on the state records when they file. Okay. And then the biggest thing is a business bank account, right? So when you form your entity, you get your EIN, then you have to open up a business bank account. Now you're seen as in business, because the way that underwriters and lenders look at your business is the date, not when you filed it with your state, right? It's when the date your bank account opened. Because how are you going to be in business if you don't have a business bank account? So that's just some of the gist. Obviously, you got to have loan and other things, and we'll get into that later and have some trade lines and things of that sort. But that's like the gist on why you have to make sure that you're setting your business up to be in compliance. Okay. So why is that important? So the reason why that is important is because vendor credit. So if you see on the slide where it talks about vendor credit, I'm going to spend a little bit of time here because this is the gist on how we get you started, even if you started your business yesterday. A lot of times, if you research business credit online or you get on some webinars and they're talking to you about building your business online, like at NAV or some of these other places, they're really just giving you an overview. When we're in these focus groups, we really want you to really understand how everything fits together. So what is a vendor line? So a vendor line of credit is when your company, when a company or vendor extends a line of credit to a business on what we call a net 15, net 30, net 60, net 90. And all that means is that you can purchase their products or services for up to a maximum dollar amount. If you have a net 15 or a net 30 or net 60 or net 90, you pay that bill in 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? So that's what we consider starter credit, right? So if you're set up on a net 30 term and you were to purchase $300 worth of goods today, then that $300 would be due in 30 days, right? So that's the gist of what that actually means. In order for you to be in good standing in this first tier, and there are different tiers, and that's why a lot of people get denied. So I meet real estate investors and people who are starting their business, and I'm just going to say, if you're operating your business and you're still in a sole proprietorship, cut it out, because right now you're not seen as a business, right? Even if you are a sole proprietor and you file with a separate EIN for your sole proprietorship, it's still connected to your social, okay? Because you're not going to be able to get loans and things of that sort, and how you do your accounting, that's gonna come into play as well. But you want to find that your business has at least 5 vendor lines of credit for products and services that add value, right? Because that is going to be the first tier, right? Because the bottom line is, if you get nothing else from this focus group on the business side, because Coach dropped a lot of gems on the consumer owner side, but on the business side, you really need to focus on having at least 10 reporting trade lines on the business credit agencies. The key is 10, okay? So make sure that you're focused on that. So anytime you're going out in the business name and you're getting phones or you're getting things on the business or going to Costco's and getting the business account or anything like that, you want to first ask, one, where does this report? Does it report on the business credit agencies, or does it report on my personal credit agencies? That's the first thing that you want to ask, right? And even if it doesn't report to the business, you can report it to the business on the business side. Okay, and we'll get into that. But one of the things I want you to really hone in, right? So in order for you to have at least the 10 reporting trade lines, what you want to make sure is that what I just mentioned, you can get products or services for your business needs, and then you defer them for 30 days, thereby easing that cash flow that you need, right? And that would be the net 30 account. And then when your net 30 account reports trade lines to Dun & Bradstreet, that Dun system is going to activate the file. And this is true for Experian and Equifax. The reason why you want to do it this way, as opposed to going to Dun's first, is because they're going to try to sell you everything. Because Dun & Bradstreet is a marketing company, okay? So they're gonna once you reach out to them and you try to open up a DUNS number, they're gonna try to sell you credit boosting and everything else that comes with it. Okay. So you really want to try to do this all organically by getting that net 30 and then allowing that net 30 to report that trade line to DMB, and then it'll kick in and activate. And then some vendors will approve your company on net 30 payment terms upon verification with as little as an EIN number and a 411 listing in the phone book. Not the phone book, with a lot, right? We don't need phone books anymore. But that's important to know. And then always first, when you're applying for anything in the business name, apply first without your social, okay? Because some vendors will request it, and some will even tell you on the phone that they need to have it. But submit it first without it, okay? Because what you're doing is you're going after establishing business credit on the business terms and not guaranteeing it with your personal social. So that's going to be important, right? And then some vendors are going to require you in this net 30 realm, they're going to require you to do an initial prepaid order. So that brings me to the second most important thing when you're building business credit. When you're building business credit, it is unlike what Coach is talking about on the consumer side. When you get business credit, you have to always use it. You can't use it 1 month, then put it in the drawer and don't use it again for 6 months and forget about it. That's not how business credit works. Business credit works that you use it every month, okay? And you pay it back when it's due. So if you're a net 60, then after you pay the net 60, then you're going to use it again, then you're going to pay the net 60, et cetera, et cetera. It's always in use because you're using it to build your business credit. And we're trying to get to those 10 reporting trade lines so that we can now get the credit cards and all the other things. So the vendor credit is just the starter point for that. So some vendors are going to require you to do prepaid orders before they approve you for the business net 30, but that's fine because it's going to be something that you need anyway in your business. And then it's going to take about 5 net 30 trade lines reporting to DMB, Experian, and Equifax. And this can help you get to that whole 10. But the goal that I want to leave you with is that you want to make sure that you are seen as low risk. That means having an entity set up, having a business address, even if it's a virtual office or some space like that gives you a licensing lease that you're licensing, because you don't have a lease if you're in a virtual office, but you do have a license to use a space. And that works when you submit that. Also, if you're in offices like we have KW, if you are working at a KW office, you can use the KW office because you get your mail at KW as long as you're using KW for the real estate. So there's plenty of ways that you can actually use and establish your office space, your phone number. Your phone can be a VoIP number, voice over IP, which is like the phone, the internet phones and things of that sort, because it needs to report as a trade. It needs to report as a landline and not a mobile phone, because a mobile phone can be a throwaway phone and then they will consider that as high risk. So you have to remember also that you're going to be following the vendor reporting cycles to get into the business reporting systems. So it might take about 3 cycles of net 30 accounts in order for you to start building business credit scores. But remember, it's supposed to be something that you use in your business anyway. So I have a business office. I have a virtual office. I use that anyway. So I pay that every month anyway. It just so happens that I can report it on my business DMV, but I would pay that anyway. So it's not something that I'm just getting just to build business credit. I'm using it in my business anyway. Okay. Same thing with the phone, address, things that I'm using anyway, my internet service, anything that I'm using in my business, I want it to be able to report so that I can now increase my trade lines. Okay. And so just know, as I end and take it back to Coach, that everything comes in tiers, right? So when you're dealing with business credit and it's a separate mindset, it's not for the consumer. All right. Consumers think about cost. That's what they think about. They want to go buy shoes. They want to go travel. They want to do things in its cost. Whereas business owners, investors, we think about investments. Okay. We invest into our businesses. We invest into real estate. We invest into the things that we need to help us multiply our revenue. So it's a shift in mindset, which is why I only deal with B2B, because I need a business entrepreneur mindset. So tier one, you need to make sure when you're getting approved and going through these things, you need to make sure that lender compliance is 100% complete. And we'll go over what that means and making sure you complete it before you start applying for stuff so you won't be denied. DMB must be established with those net 30s and Experian info must be correct. You must be at least 1 month in business and you must have your business bank account open before we move you into tier two. Okay. And so that's how we do everything systematically. And as Coach mentioned in the beginning, Real Estate Investors Alliance NYC doesn't stand for New York City. It stands for now you can build your real estate business. Now you can invest in real estate. Now you can participate in fractional real estate and all the things that we have to offer. So our community is so big on just community, right? And doing things together so you don't go it alone, right? So it's very important that if you are interested in participating on an ongoing basis in our focus groups, and you are in the area of real estate investing, a real estate agent, or a business owner who wants to go into real estate, then I'll be around at the end for Q&A because I know my session was short, but this was really more about the consumer and owner's credit, but I definitely will be on. But with that, Coach, I turn it back to you, sir.
Welcome to RIA NYC, where eager to learn entrepreneurs become wealthy and happy to teach investors. When life gives you lemons, draft a business plan. Call your girls and build an empire of lemon-inspired beverages. Because a real investor understands that in these times, you have to have more than one gig. It's not simply lemonade anymore, boss ladies. Nothing happens until you decide to change your life. But when you do, make more than just lemonade. Oh, and do it in great company. Call us today and build your empire.
Well, thank you very much. We so appreciate that. And we wanted people to understand the diversity which RIA NYC offers. And I want people to understand that under the current administration, there were two things that was dear to his heart: real estate and in business. And you're saying for a business right now, ladies and gentlemen, there has been an increase in small business financing, and there has been a surge in small business applications. And so if you are in business, this is your time. And this is why we wanted to have a poll like this, so you know all the steps that are needed for that. Because if you're talking about if you had a $50,000 loan, depending upon your personal credit score, can now be the interest rates in which you hone in on where you can actually take advantage. That's why we wanted to have Dr. Martin go through some of those steps. We realize that there's opportunity out there. But like I said before, for some of you, the entryway may actually be your personal credit. We talked about before and here are things that we'll be discussing in our sessions in regards to the importance of paying your items on time, because it's 35% of your score. In the business world, all they care about is you pay on time. In the consumer world, they want to know if you pay on time and if you have other things that are also in place. We talk about the utilization ratio on your credit cards. It should always be 30%. And so if you take the balance of your card, divide that by 3, that's 333. That represents 30% utilization on that particular credit card. Now, how many cards you have, take that same model. You can actually now start putting yourself where you can actually self-correct yourself and understanding that 30% is the magic number. Now, for people who are in the business state, in the business realm, because remember, you're trying to get net 30 and net 60 accounts. But for those of you who have existing credit cards, I'm going to tell you 10% utilization. Because if you can master your cards at 10% utilization and you can pay your bills 10 to 15 days earlier, what you're now showing is a pattern. If you can do this for the next 6 to 8 months, you are showing a pattern that now when you're applying for these net 30, net 60 accounts, you're showing that you have a mastery of credit, which means you're much trustworthy, and they're mitigating the risk, which means that you're a low risk. Collections. We talked about understanding the difference between first party and third party collections. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have an item that's in first party, that means that the company that you signed a contract with are now trying to collect on a debt. In other words, they have an internal collection agency within their company that's trying to reach out to you. However, if something now gets charged off, what could possibly happen is that a third party collection agency gets involved. And ladies and gentlemen, even though you've never signed a contract with a third party, just like we talk about with mortgage notes, it's buying the paper. In other words, a third party company can actually buy your debt, sell it for pennies on the dollar, and now come after you. What's also bad about that situation is that they can actually put that as a negative on your credit report. So let's take it real. First party, you had a Sears account and then you paid late. And so you have a 30-day payment onto that account. They have tried to collect on that debt, but unfortunately they were not successful. So they charged it off. A third party said, oh, this guy owes $900. I tell you what, Sears, we'll buy the debt for $60. Take it off your books. They accept it. Now that third party collection is coming after you, which was the original Sears account. First, they're trying to come after you with letters or calls or whatever, and then they negatively put it on your report. That means that the Sears originally had the negative item. Now this collections agency has a negative item. Now, one good thing is that's against the law. And you would actually work with somebody like a Coach Moore to go, whoa, wait a minute now. You can't have a third party and the original creditor on the same report. But ladies and gentlemen, because of the dismantling of the CFPB and other scapegoats, who knows? Because who are you going to run to if all these protection scapegoats have now been eliminated? That's why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand what the rules of the game are so you can actually understand how to fight back. Like I said before, when you have something in collections, it hurts you two ways. It hurts you with that negative item that says you report for 7 years and your debt to income ratio. So if you tell me, that's okay, Coach Moore, I'm going for this house, I'm just going to pay that item off my report. Okay, you paid it, so you satisfied your debt to income ratio. But what about the negative item? That negative item still remains. Like I says, really understanding what the rules are so you can fight back. That way, we can get you to where you're trying to go.
Fiscally fabulous. Fiscally fabulous.
The purpose of Fiscally Fabulous Lifestyle is to take the fear out of business ownership and real estate investing. It's the spot where we share stories and insights and experiences, from successful entrepreneurs so that you can get their golden tips so you can be successful too. If you have a burning question regarding legal, real estate, and or business, please reach out to us at fiscallyfabulous.tv.com and we will definitely want to share your story on the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we finish off, we want to know if you have any questions. And this is the time we want to hear from you. So this is the time, if you have any questions, myself and Dr. Martin are here. So, of course, Dr. Martin will handle all the business questions and Coach Moore will handle all the consumer questions. So who has a question in regards to what you've heard so far?
Hi,
Okay, so
Coach Moore.
Hello.
This is Shobna, and the question is for Coach Moore. Coach, you were talking about the FICO 10, FICO 4. What are those?
Okay. Those are actually different models. FICO 4 usually is in the automotive space. FICO 8 is more in the mortgage space. FICO 10 is a new model. You're not going to really know which models are being used front. Basically, whatever you apply for, you can just ask that creditor, excuse me, what models are you using? And they'll tell you what model they're using. Most of the time it's FICO 4 and FICO 8 because they're the most popular.
Thank you. That clarifies. Thank you so much.
You got it. Stanley White, I see your hand up.
Let's do all of that. Okay. How you doing, Coach? And thank you for all of this. You had mentioned earlier about Credit Karma. the companies of that ilk as far as getting your credit report from them. But what about when your credit card offers you your credit score or credit report? Is that a viable resource as well?
Yes, absolutely. Especially you have certain credit card company, if they show all three of your reports, and like I said, that's a viable solution. But most credit cards usually show your TransUnion score only. But for those that show all three, definitely that's something to use. Just understand that's making you aware of what's on your report. When you're actually going for financing, those are different models. That's why for myself, as a certified credit coach, I always try to help people with their reports because they're different scoring models. But the answer to your question, yes, absolutely.
And also, just to tie back into what Shabna asked, I want to just make sure that this is the legal coming out, right? Your lender disclosures. I know it's a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff, credit cards and all that. When applying for any credit, whether it's a loan or your credit cards or anything, lenders are required that if you're denied, they got to give you an adverse action notice, why you were denied and things of that sort, or a credit score disclosure if they're basing their decision on your credit report or something like that, right? But you want to make sure that you understand that they will tell you the credit score version that they used inside your lender disclosure. So whether they're using FICO 8, FICO 4, etc. Okay. And then also what credit bureau they got it from. Right. So that's going to be really important. And this is even though Coach is talking about consumers, it's still owner's credit. So the same concept when you're thinking about personal credit on the consumer side, we still look at the same things on owner's credit when we're utilizing your owner's credit for business credit. Okay. Because that's that C, right? The CIA, that's the owner's credit. So myfico.com is still a viable option if you're looking to just learn stuff, right? Because they will tell you that FICO 8 and is how that's currently used for general credit decisions being made. 2, 4, and 5 is used for like the mortgage approvals, and 9 and 10, like Coach mentioned, is like the enhanced stuff. And then there's a whole separate FICO auto score and insurance score, right? So there's a lot of things that go into the whole credit scoring model, but I will encourage everyone, and Coach will talk about this in future sessions, but if you're focused on enhancing your credit, you're in credit rehab, right? And you are at a 620, 680, because right now 780 is a good score for lending. For all you real estate investors out there, they're looking upwards. Back in the day, last month, it was 760. It's 780 now. So everybody might need a little bit of credit rehab. If you're going into looking at enhancing your credit scores for reasons of house buying, investments, even if you're using private lenders and things of that sort, private lenders also look at scoring. Why? Because if you hold their loan too long, they want to ensure that you can refinance out so that they can get their money, because they're not in the business of doing houses. They're in the business of making money on their money, right? So credit is going to come into play on some level, and you're going to want to get some credit monitoring services, right? So that's in addition to how you're dealing with your credit. Tied to that, you also need to get some credit monitoring, because you need to know who's hitting your credit report and why, so that you can attack it early, right? And not figure it out when you're going for a house or you're going for some loans or trying to get into a partnership deal, because partnerships, they're also looking at your credit, okay? So I just wanted to tie that into what Shabna asked, because it was a great question, but I just wanted to expand upon that.
Okay. Shabna, you have another question?
Yes, sir. I went into the Experian professional as when Dr. T was showing it. So is there a charge to it, because they are charging like $199 per year? Or what is the other way to check? What is the other way to check your experience or Equifax scores?
On Coach, are you talking about owner's credit or credit monitoring? What do you?
Yeah, no, the business monitoring.
No, you ain't no free. Ain't no free on business monitoring.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. It's business. It's a business expense. That's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I just saw the experience is charging $109, so I just wanted to know. So it's a good idea to.
You might want to try to go after, because I know you have some type of credit system that you're using. You might
Correct.
want to see what is an all-in-one model for them, because normally most of them give you 2 business credit monitoring services for one monthly price, and that's
Oh,
expensive. That's not no $199. So you need to check. That's why I
okay.
told you. That's why, yeah, I know you got another service, but
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So
yeah,
thank you so much. But this has been,
these are some of the reasons why $199 is a lot per month.
oh, it's not per month.
Separately.
It was per year. So I said, okay,
Well,
that's
tap
fine.
into them. Tap into
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very
Next, we have Paul.
Go ahead, Paul.
Good. How you doing? Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eh,
Let me just say this first, Paul. For everybody who don't know, Paul is our legislative committee chair. He is the one who handles all our legislation. He gives us all our updates. He runs our legislative committee. He keeps us out of legislative hell while we're doing our real estate investing in our businesses. So that's who Paul Bodley is. So yes, Paul, ask your question, sir.
Well, just real quick, one of the things I know you had it in your slide, but it's raising its ugly head again because it's just hot news off the press with that new House budget bill that just got passed. Is they're talking about raising the interest rates on student loans. Now, student loans, I think under CFPB was not being included in the credit score, but that might come back.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right. And that metric now is going to throw off when the people are applying off their scores. That's why the scores are going to be very important. So I just heard about that today. I didn't have time to add that in. So I'm so glad that you got on, Paul.
And we're gonna and we're gonna have a student loan component, because a lot of people have student loans, and that may be affecting their mortgage rates or their credit or something like that. And for all who don't know, I am a certified student loan counselor, amongst all the other degrees and things I have. But we will be adding some of those things inside of all of that stuff, right? And it's different. The world as we know it is different. And we really need to start paying attention to how this is affecting our credit as it relates to us getting loans, private lenders, even hard money lenders, and things of that sort. Because as people in business and know real estate, these things are going to affect us. If we have good credit right now, and then they start taking things down, that may or may not be a great thing when it comes to us trying to get lending and finance, especially alternative. Thanks, Paul, for that. Who's next? James.
Next is Lorraine.
Okay, Lorraine.
Hi, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. So I have 2 questions. I don't know if I'm going to ask 2 questions. So one for Coach Moore and one for Dr. Teresa. So the first one is for Coach Moore. I just had a question about inquiries. So if you are, I guess, strategically trying, improving your credit, right? And you have existing cards, and then you apply for credit line increases on the cards to, I guess, extend maybe your debt to credit ratio. If you have more credit available on the card, that might improve your utilization. So do those, when you apply for the credit line increases, do those count as inquiries, or are they just the soft ones and not the hard inquiries?
Okay. If you're applying through a company that's got to run your credit, that's considered a hard inquiry. However, I call that a strategic hard inquiry, because it says, you're using the increased credit to do what? You'll lower your utilization ratio. And once it lowers your utilization ratio, that's 30% of your score. That's going to overshadow whatever damage those inquiries could do. And inquiries are usually maybe 2 to 5 points. The only time a hard inquiry really hurts you, if you're over leveraged on all of your credit cards and then you do an inquiry, that really brings your score down over 30 to 40 points. Think of it as a seesaw. If I'm already down and now you're adding more stuff to it, I'm just going even lower. But in that particular scenario, what you're talking about, the strategy is I'm going to increase my utilization, which is 30% of my score. That will overshadow whatever points from the inquiries.
Okay. All right.
Point of clarification. Were you talking about getting new lines, or
No,
you already have the existing and then you're getting an
Existing, she wants
increase
to
from the existing?
yeah, the existing cards, and I want to increase the limits
Increase.
on those cards.
Got it. If it's the same company, they already do periodic looks at your credit anyway, and that's one of the things that's an outlier. So that's not something that you would worry about on that end.
Okay, and I keep it locked anyway, so to prevent these like random inquiries from
Right.
hitting
That's
my
good.
my thing, because I've been doing that more recently of applying, like doing credit line increases, and my credit is locked, and I still get the increase. So I was just wondering how that played out. So
The increase from your current creditor.
right,
You
Mhm.
can't lock it from your current creditor.
Oh, okay, because they're
Yeah,
already in.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's why you don't worry about that. They already in transaction with you. You can't lock it.
Got it.
Because they
Okay.
need to see if you go down, they're gonna close some of your
Yeah.
right. So you
Or
can't lock it
reduce or
from your current.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. And then my second question is for you, Dr. Teresa, for the business credit, because it's something that's always changing. They keep changing the rules like all the time. As soon as you catch up,
Always.
they change it around. So my question is, with the 10 reporting, but I'm guessing this is like tier ones, or is it maybe it's a mixture of tier
It's a
ones
mixture.
and tier twos?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering if there was like maybe a couple that you could share of ones that would apply in that category to make sure that those are reporting. Is it still like Quill and
Everybody don't need Quill.
we can get some pens and some notepads or something?
I would say Crown. Have you heard of
Okay.
Crown office
Yeah.
supplies? Okay.
Yeah.
Crown is good. I would say Crown is good because it reports to all four.
Okay.
With Crown, and it's Crown Office Supplies for those people listening, they report to DMB, Experian, Equifax, and Credit Safe. They report to all of them. And all
Okay.
you need to get approved from them is
Pay the
HT in good
membership.
standing, right? An EIN, right? A business address that matches everywhere, right?
Mhm.
Bank account, okay, everywhere. And then before you do that, you need to have a DMB number, right? So remember we talked about net 30, so you got to get something that reports and you have a DMB number already, because before you apply for Crown, they want you to have a DMB number already.
Okay. So you can
Okay.
do like a nav or something that
Correct.
reports and
Correct.
then use that for your
Correct. And you just, right,
Yep.
once your DMB is activated, your number is activated, then that's the number that you use. And they and then they issue a net 30. They're on net 30 term.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't
So that's one that you can do. And I like that one because it reports to all four. FedEx
Okay.
reports to just one, which is DMB. Everybody don't need Granger because they don't need no work boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a tough one to buy from. It is.
Yeah,
Like I got
yeah.
enough batteries. I don't need no more
Right.
batteries.
So try them. That
Okay.
office supplies are good. If you go to Staples, then you can go to Crown.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Jade here hired an online freelancer to help her file her LLC. What she did not know was that she had to file her quarterly taxes, where to find her registered agent, or even why she needs one. If only someone had told her about the law offices of Teresa R. Martin, PC. Teresa and her team of exceptional quality professionals make it their business to establish great business. Let's schedule a call to make sure you are operating within the law. martinlegal.com.
Our next one is Nick.
Yes, my question was for Dr. T. I saw you answered my question in the chat. So just piggyback off Lorraine's question, is there a comprehensive list of the companies that we can get a net 30 or a net 15 from? And the second part of that question would be, I'm a software company, but if we're a company that doesn't need like a FedEx, could we get a bunch of net 30s with several office supply companies, and would that still suffice for the 10 minimum?
As long as they report, if you drive, there's gas ones, right? You can get gas and Loves or something, some of those. There's some marketing ones where you can, if you're using somebody for social media marketing or something like that, you can get those. But as far as a comprehensive list, there's not really, outside of my program, there's not a comprehensive list per se. But yeah, there's not a comprehensive list because the whole thing is you want to know what tiers you want to apply with before you apply. So it all comes in different tiers. There's 6,000 vendors, creditors, and lenders, right? And you got to know which one fits yours. Like you said, you don't need fasteners. You might need something that relates technology wise that you may need. So yes, those kinds of things are on the list. The only thing that you need to find out if you go into anything you need in your business is ask them, do you report? They might not give you a net 30, but as long as they report, it acts as the same thing because all you need is the reporting trade line.
Okay. So we just have to have an account and then ask them to report to the boroughs, and that's good.
The business credit agencies, not the consumer ones. We don't care about the consumer ones when we build the business credit.
Purchase. Can we purchase with personal credit card, or do we have to purchase with business credit card?
Business. This is business stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Final one is Peter Gay Jameson.
Okay, Coach Moore actually answered part of it. I was asking, of all the credit reporting bureau, which is the most accurate? And Coach Moore had said TransUnion, but I have another question for you, Coach Moore. In with regards to accuracy, my question with regards to that. Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah, I can. No, what I was going to say, let me just qualify my answer. When I say TransUnion metric right now to determine which ones are accurate, they've all had issues and all that. Just in the last 6 months, though, Experian and Equifax have been named in lawsuits, one for $15 million, the other one still pending for $20 million, simply because of some of the business trends they've been doing. So it's not that TransUnion has stayed away from the fray because they're accurate. It's just right now, TransUnion is the only one right now that hasn't really been named under the CFPB. So there's really no way to determine who's more accurate than the other, because they've all had issues. They're three separate companies. They've all had errors. I can just tell you right now, TransUnion is the only one that hasn't been named in any lawsuits right now.
Okay. My second question is with regards to the score. So based on what's on the report and the score and my score, are they tied together? Meaning that, okay, if there is inaccurate information on my credit report, does that equal to why my score is low, or are there other contributing factors?
The other contributing factors, however, if there's inaccurate information, like duplicated items that are outdated, wrong addresses, wrong amounts, which is a big one, all those can be contributing to lowering your score. Okay. We want to thank everybody for their questions. And
this has been Fiscally Fabulous with Dr. Teresa R. Martin, Esquire. If you would like to learn more on how you can build generational wealth and leave a lasting legacy, go to www.enjoyyourlegacy.com and be sure to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Until next time.